Right. Um, so this was a GU trade that I spoke about yesterday that I took. Um, and I'm a little bit, I don't want to say confused per se, but this goes back to the kind of a problem that I've been having over the time. I think I'm a little bit better in terms of understanding where price wants to go and understanding what price wants to do. Um, so all in all, we are in this massive bullish leg on the daily, right? This is our last ISP. Well, this is our last ISP here to go up, but this is a clearly was swept. But this was the leg that we were operating in, and I guess everyone can kind of see this. You know, low, sorry, high, low. This swept liquidity and it's ultimately put in a new low that, in my opinion, took liquidity because we didn't close below. So we are actually still operating in this larger bearish leg from here to here. That's where we are operating from. Um, Last point of liquidity is up in here from a daily perspective. Now, if we go down to the 4 hour, this is what I found was very interesting, and this is why I took the trade. Um, so price came and we ran these highs here. So this is a sweep. And from here, if we're following ISPs, right? This is a type two, this is a type two. Um, so ultimately we broke back above, and this is a type two here that puts in this high. But ultimately we come up, we sweep, and we drop down. And this is the break of structure here to go bearish. So this will be the SMB bearish. From here, we do get the close below. And we ultimately get a type 1 into the new low, into a type 2 into the new low. So how I looked at this was, I mean, I guess it's fairly straightforward here. We have this SMB, but it's not really an SMB because we don't close above. So our SMB is actually here. That was where I got in on the open of this candle. Pretty easy to see. And we came up. And I'm going to get into this potential target in a second because I want to understand it a little bit better. But honestly, where I'm targeting is this high. The I am targeting the 4 hour type 1 high. And the reason for that is on the daily leg, we moved from this low to this high. This is our daily leg from here to here. We came down, we liquidated pretty much our last point of liquidity for the entire leg, unless we decide we're gonna go and break that leg now. So this is our um, last point of liquidity, right? Boom, we took it. Price came up, gave a reaction, created a type 1, came down again and swept our sweep, quote unquote. So for me, knowing now that we swept our sweep or what swept our last bit of liquidity, now we need to go target more liquidity on the buy side. So that's why I have this target here, and that to me was the only place where we could look to sweep liquidity or where liquidity was present. Um, but ultimately, from a higher time frame perspective, even on a weekly, our next likely draw is really expectational order flow highs, which is here. But obviously, I'm not going to be holding that for that long. But back to the 4 hour. Now, I remember Yas and I believe it was Kim were talking, and Geo, we're talking about taking this high as the next point to take, as uh, well, to take this as our target because we have this type 1 FEG in here. Uh, which is massive. I know we're not counting wicks, but the reason I didn't target that, which in hindsight I probably, well, the reason I didn't target the base is because we already tapped into it. And based on our rules, we should look to take this high next. However, even though we did tap into it, and I have the understanding that we're looking to take this out, especially since we took so much liquidity from the bottom and swept the sweep, I was under the impression, and still under the impression, that we take this high right here. Now, something that I think we can take from Fractal, believe it or not, if we refine this a little bit here, is the last point of liquidity. So this point here is actually the last point of liquidity for, well, that is in the type 1 POI, right? So that might have been the daily target, which you can see here that we went in and we swept pretty cleanly. So I can understand why you all would say, target the type 1. But another part of confluence that I have to go even higher is, I mean, we can see it here pretty clearly, but let me go to a 30-minute, is in my entry, we have these equals, and we very, very clearly, we have these equals, and we very, very clearly push up, create a type 1 here that smashes through, takes all the liquidity, and then ultimately pushes away, creating a new break of structure, right? So in my opinion, if we had a, oh, I don't have boss here. Oh yeah, I do. So since we have the new boss coming from a sweep of liquidity into a type 1 that was already tapped into, from a higher time frame perspective, from a sweep that got swept, jeez, I was looking to take this last point of liquidity. Even though, yes, I do understand that this could be taken. And as we see, price did come back into the type 1, the new 30-minute type 1, and is now looking to potentially move higher. But that was kind of my thought process behind getting in and targeting this high right here. Because I didn't see how price could be looking to come lower. I didn't see why price would be looking to come lower, considering that we swept the last point of liquidity. We swept that last point of liquidity again. So now we should be looking to start our bullish run, or continue our daily bullish run to our expectational highs. And that is the reason why I took the trade and why I was looking at looking at this high. And I mean, this could have been another potential entry to move higher, but I personally wouldn't, because it's a little large on the stop. But yeah, that's my thought process.